This is Access Door County, and I am your host, Victoria Cerinich. Today's guest is Stuart Champeau. Stuart is performing and founder of a community theater movement, and it's at the Depot, and it's a performing arts center. Stuart, can you tell us about the Depot Performing Arts Center?
Well, first of all, I'll tell you that I'm a co-founder. My wife is the other person, and I would be hearing from her about that.
That's very important. Thank you.
Lola de Villers, spell it right in the papers. The Depot Performing Arts Center, a friend of ours was getting married, and they were going to use that building. The owners, Tom Alberts and Mark Feld, let them use it. We went there while they were decorating and thought, what a beautiful space for a theater. And so we approached Mark and Tom. They were in agreement. They wanted to get something going with the building. The building was for sale, and they wanted to get some movement on it. I said, well, no better way to get movement on it than have a few hundred people walking through your doors to see it. And so we got a lease with them, and we changed it into a theater. Something that you should come and see if you remember it from the old restaurant days or when it was a brewery. It's really been transformed into a stage and theater. We have one of the local school, which wanted to remain anonymous, gave us all the curtains that they were changing their curtains out. So we've got flame-proof curtains around all those big windows that are in there.
Oh, great.
So the space can be dark. We built a stage in there. We've got a lot of community people that are coming in, carpenters and electricians, and a lot of the local businesses that are donating things.
Well, you mentioned community, and I think part of what we were talking about earlier was that you are really part of community theater. And you also mentioned that this has just recently happened with the Depot, but that you were part of a rogue theater company.
That's
So
right.
how did that go from rogue to community? They sound like two different things.
Well, we thought we'd do rogue theater because we didn't really have a venue to work out of. So we would do our shows all around Door County, in village halls and different restaurants and bars and wherever they would let us do a show. Because genuinely, when you love to act like I do and my wife Lola, it doesn't matter where you perform. And so we're going to keep our theater group as Rogue Theater, but we're not the only theater group that will perform at the Depot. The Depot is a theater for the community. I was born and raised in Door County up in Sister Bay, and now live in Sturgeon Bay with my wife. And there's so much talent in Door County, but most of us have to work real jobs and can't do theater full time. So they'll do community theater, and the quality of community theater in Door County is unprecedented. And we've had people that come to our shows and go, it's as good as anything you can see professionally around. And really it is. The talent level in Door County of musicians and actors, and we see it in the fine arts all the time up here, how incredible the artists are that are here. And our concentration of artists, whether performing or fine arts, is off the charts, per, what would you call it, per
Compared
person.
to maybe some communities that don't have the advantages that Door County has with this concentration of high-quality talent. Now, what is your role with the other groups then? Are you a director or a producer? How do you help the other theater groups
The
in
answer,
that
Vicki,
space?
is yes.
You do it all.
I'm a producer,
well,
director.
so does Lola, though.
Producer, director, actor. I do most of our publicity. And when we've got another group in there, if I'm not involved in a show, in fact, our Christmas show that's coming up, I won't be involved with that, other than doing their publicity and their production work. And I'm helping run the light board and sound and everything else, and concession and everything else that goes along with it. It's, like I said, it's really a theater for the community. And we really like if people come forward that want to perform there, or if there's another group. We've had a lot of groups coming in already. We had a baby shower. We've got somebody who wants to do a wedding there. We have the Door County Board of Realtors is going to be there for their Christmas party and a show. And groups just coming out of the woodwork to help us and be part of it.
So if groups want to come out of the woodwork and contact you, how would they do that?
You can give us a phone call. I think you've got our phone number here, or we can get it on the screen.
Yeah, 920-818-0816. And your Gmail I have as oneroguetheater@gmail.com.
That's right.
Okay. Now, you recently, you've had several Rogue Theater productions at other venues, but at this venue you recently, or in November, had a production starring Lola de Villers, and Katie Lott-Schnorr.
Yes.
And what was that production?
It's called A Couple of White Chicks Just Sitting Around Talking. It takes place in Maud Mix, who is Lola's stage name. It takes place in her kitchen. So for that show, the theater is set up, it's a kitchen. And when you walk in, it looks like you're walking into somebody's kitchen. And it's funny because it's all in the same level. So when the audience enters the door, they're walking into the kitchen. When we sell coffee or water, if somebody wants a water, we go onto the set and pull the water out of the refrigerator.
Okay.
It's kind of hokey, but it's got that real community feel to it.
But that type of just two people acting and talking, that's a special kind of theater compared to the ensemble theater where there are lots of people.
That particular show we did in conjunction with the Women's Fund of Door County, and their purpose is to enrich the lives of young girls and women to become better and expect more of themselves. The story, White Chicks, which we call it for short, is about two women who form a bond, a friendship, and the two tied in so well together. And it's community, so we want to help one of our community non-for-profits.
So when you have a presentation like that, a performance like that's got a target audience and it might have a special message, would you reprise that? Would you bring that back at other times of the year, perhaps with student guests, or?
We would. All our shows are done in repertory. We will reprise anything. In fact, for the Board of Realtors, we're doing a show we did last summer called Lone Star, which is the story of me and my brother Ray sitting out back on Angel's Bar in Minor Texas just shooting a brace. And it's a lot of fun.
Okay, another kind. So you like the ones that there are special characters and a little bit of humor?
Yeah, I like a lot of humor.
A lot of humor.
And we will do dramas. I've done many dramatic pieces. But when I go to the theater, I like to leave the theater with a smile on my face. And so I guess we're not as thought-provoking with some of our stuff, but we just make people happy.
And when is a performance, how long do they take? I mean, the duration, are they usually an hour? Are they usually 2 hours? How would people get tickets?
It depends. A one-act play like Lone Star is about an hour long. And some productions can be 2 hours, and there'll be a couple different acts. The Two White Chicks is about an hour and a half, and we also do commercials in that show. Our sponsor was Door County Coffee and Tea Company, and so me and another actor were doing commercials for Door County Coffee and Tea Company in the middle of the show when they do like a scene break or at intermission at the beginning of the show.
So you almost can't tell when it's a commercial and it's part of the performance because it's kind of part of the performance.
It is part of the performance, and it really ties in well, and the reception for that is unbelievable. And we've got some more sponsors now that have seen the show, and they're like, well, we want to do that. It's a really effective way to spend your advertising dollar, is to have, in an intimate setting, talk to 50, 60 people about a certain product and it really gets the message across.
And that local product, like Door County Coffee and Tea, which is really such a great local company, and they've done so much for the community as far as employment and construction and attracting visitors, which is exactly what the depot is going to do. Right. Now, the depot originally was a real railroad station, the Ahnapee and Western Railway, and in
Or as we say up north, Ahnapee.
Oh, see? The Ahnapee. Okay, well.
But yeah, and it closed in 1968, and I remember as a kid growing up in the 60s, the train station, and they had the old railroad bridge that went across the canal that pivoted around, and yeah, it was pretty neat. And the building itself was fantastic. When you go into the basement, it's really a bomb shelter. It's got footings that are 4 feet wide, and they taper up, and they crisscross rebar in them, so they can handle the vibration and the weight from the trains pulling by. So really, the building itself is worth the admission price.
Yeah. Do you give tours of the building? Have you thought about it?
If somebody wants to give me a call and see the building, I've already had 3 or 4 people that have gone through it that are in different aspects of construction, or we had an architect that wanted to see it. And so if somebody wants a tour, we'll give them a tour.
Do you provide classes in drama, acting, staging, production?
Yes, in fact, this summer we've got a couple of people, local actors, and one that has been seen on TV. I don't know if he wants me to say his name on the air. Who are going to be doing children's theater. Also, in my acting career, I did 9 seasons with Paul Sills, who's the original director of Second City. And so I've got an improv background, and his theater method, it was something that's called black box theater, where instead of having an actual prop in your hand, you're showing the audience the prop without actually having the prop in your hand.
Sort of like miming a prop
A little
or something?
bit, yeah.
Okay.
So in other words, if I'm folding a pillowcase, I would fold the pillowcase.
And everybody knows it's a pillowcase or a handkerchief because
Yeah.
of the way you make these movements, but you don't actually have the prop.
Right.
Well, that's
So we'll be teaching a class in that, and then we'll put together a show involving that, and do it with kids, and we'll also do it with adults.
And how will you recruit those children and adults for
Well-
that? How will they know you're doing it?
We do casting calls. We have a big following on Facebook for people that want to know when and where we're doing our shows. Plus, we're locals. We know everybody. You know,
Sure.
if we got a show coming up and we know all the local actors, and if there's a part that fits this guy or that woman, we can give them a call and say, hey, we got a great part for you. Just come down and read for us.
Well, I know when I was looking up for more information about the Depot Performing Arts Center, I found that you've been interviewed by The Pulse, you're on, and it's online, and as well with Door County Daily News. So everybody seems to pull together to try, and even the Advocate had a
Yeah, they had a
special.
great article.
They had a
Yeah,
great
and
article.
as long as we're doing this, I'd really like to thank those people. That's something to say about a tight-knit community that we've got, is that people just fall over themselves to help you when you're doing a good cause for a good thing. I also want to be tying more of our shows in with not-for-profits like the Women's Fund. I was talking to Carrie Cunahan. She came to a show Saturday night about doing something for the Humane
For the
Society.
Humane Society.
So I got to come up with a play that's about dogs or something.
Well, there is cats. It's a little long.
Yeah, I don't think, cats might be quite a production for us to mount. Though we are looking at a musical now for the summer, Pump Boys and Dinettes, which is really,
good.
is a lot of high energy music and really good. And we also have another wonderful idea for something that we are going to do in a podcast that I can't get into right now because it's top secret stuff.
Well, maybe there's a Dr. Seuss Cat in the Hat. That's not
Yeah.
really long.
I'll let Carrie come
But
up
they've
with it.
got good scars.
Because Carrie's also a really good actor.
I've seen that.
Yeah.
And so right now, you have a production that recently aired, or was recently shown, and that's the White Chicks Sitting Around Talking. That's going to play again in the end of November or the beginning of December, and then in December you are going to have which shows again?
Where Henry Tim is directing a show. It's 2 acts. It's 2 one-act plays. One is called Christmas in the Willows, which is an adaptation from The Wind in the Willows, the Christmas scene in that book. And it's really touching. It's kids and singing and caroling. And the other one is called The Demon Tree, which is a Christmas story of how St. Nicholas came about.
So we can learn more about those the next time we talk, I think.
That's right. And the show coming up right after that for Christmas is, oh, sorry, Lola. It Had to Be You. And that's starring me and my wife, Lola.
Okay.
In that one, I'm Vito Pignoli, an Italian producer director from New York City.
Oh, yeah.
She's an out-of-work actress who seduces me and steals my clothes. And I think that's about as far as we can go here.
Yeah, I think that's it. So if
It's all clean.
If we need to contact you right now, we've got a Gmail, and that's oneroguetheater@gmail.com.
And a phone number.
And a phone number, 920-818-0816. And follow you on Facebook. It's
And we'll have our website up and running soon.
And yeah, and are you looking for any help with that, or you're just about done?
With the website, I'd gladly accept help. And like any community theater, we have certain needs. We had Theater M, which is another Door County community theater, gave us our lights. So we've got lights for a little while, then we have to buy new lights. We
Okay.
need sound equipment. A theater needs so much, and it especially needs people to come watch the shows.
And what time are your performances usually?
We do usually Friday, Saturday, 7:30, and then because we are in Packer country, we do 4:30 Sunday matinees instead of 2 o'clock.
Instead of
matinees.
early matinees, and that's at the address at 341 North 3rd Avenue,
That's right.
the Depot. You have been watching Access Door County with your host, Victoria Cerinich. Our guest today was Stuart Champeau with the Depot Performing Arts Center. Thank you for watching.